Our country is going through a turbulent time. So we couldn't have had a better period to have a conversation on human rights and public interest litigation. In summary, the legal profession in Nigeria must be asked one pertinent question. Whose interest is it serving? Is it public interest or a different interest? I believe it is serving public interest, but more has to be done. More has to be done. So I want to use this medium to appeal to the bench in particular to be circumspect in giving decisions that are seen or perceived to be anti-public interest. A situation where you go to court, you file an action to articulate an issue of public interest, and the court looks at you as the meddlesome interloper. In fact, now we see a trend where punitive fines are being imposed on lawyers who file public interest cases. This is unacceptable. We must also speak clearly to what looks like a departure from what is supposed to be the ideal of fundamental right enforcement. The books are there. We have avalanche of laws to promote the enforcement of human rights in our country. But those of us who are on the field, we know what the experience has been. You file an application seeking to secure the release of somebody in detention. You'll be surprised that we even have that matter assigned. You have to deal with a lot. By the time it's heard to have the order to serve, it is also a problem. So let us begin to appeal to those that have the actual power to comply with the principles of human rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much for making this possible and plaque. I see that the Honorable Supreme Court Judge has probably left. Otherwise, I wanted him to know that what he said about public participation in politics, which he said is a very important right when he started his commentary, would need his attention, because one of the things that is happening in Nigeria right now is that there's what we know as lawfare as opposed to warfare, that they are using the law to wage against public participation in democracy. And a lot of these issues are going to come before the Supreme Court very soon from those who have been muzzled by the government in power to prevent them from participating in democracy through their various parties who want to participate, but the courts have been strategically placed to prevent them from participating in the next election. One of the things I love about this is that I'm always a victim of lawfare. And when I was given the book, I took a copy of the book, I looked at the parts where you could actually file for bail, because I'm always in police stations trying to get bailed out of prison. And it's very important that you've done this. When I was growing up, I used to love a book they call Where There's No Doctor. And to me, this is like where there's no lawyer, so that you can defend yourself. One of the things I hate most, and I've seen that before my lawyers here, is when my rights are violated by judges and the lawyers stand up and say, "At my lordship pleases." You can't be pleased when your client is being sent to jail, having not committed an offense. And one of the lawyers who is prosecuting me in the case between me and Tinubu, when I called him a criminal, he always shouts in court, you say, "We wrote AJA. We wrote AJA." That is the Administration of Criminal Justice. I said, if you wrote AJA, how can it be in the favor of people like us? It is like King James writing his own version of the Bible. It will favor only King James. We need, and you have done this, for an AGJA that's not written by senior advocates of Nigeria, but those of us who are the receiving end of human rights violation. One of the things I want to say last is that beyond just these issues of filing for immediate bail and getting justice, we must also do a book about historical justice, injustice that have been done against people who are consistently having their human rights violated in this country. I am looking forward to a day where a former DSS DG can go to prison for sending somebody to jail maybe 30 years ago, after he has forgotten that he did that. And that is one of the things that happened recently when Britain and others who engaged in slavery were told that that's the worst crime against humanity and they must pay for it. Nigeria must design that, and I hope this historical justice thing would also be of interest to Plaque and those of us who are here who practice human rights, because the people who violate people's rights in this country just walk away, they retire, and we forgive them and forget them. But the time must come when we don't allow them to rest in peace. They did not integrate them back into the Nigerian society. They reintegrated them into the security forces. That's what we know. And that means that gradually terrorists are taking over our security forces. And that's why we always tell you that the government knows who the terrorists are. They work with them, they empower them, they enable them to kill and destroy the country. So to get rid of terrorists in Nigeria, you have to get rid of their sponsors who are directly in the government, who have been pampering them and offering them the best possible employment within the Nigerian security forces. That's what we know. But now they have officially confirmed. They wouldn't have confirmed it to you because this is not the first time. If not for the blogger, I think, that came from Sweden, who went into what they call the rehabilitation camps and found out these guys were already working with the Nigerian army in the so-called rehabilitation camps. It's very sad, but that's Nigeria for you. Terrorists in government hiring terrorists to be in the armed forces. They're probably also preparing them for the elections.
So Tinubu said those who can see his achievement need eyeglasses. What is your reaction to this statement?
If you need eyeglasses in a country where people are not blind to see his achievement, that means the man has no achievements. Of course, I wrote about it on my Facebook that you actually need binoculars to see his achievements because they don't exist. Yes.
So let's talk about the election just question.
Yes.
Have you qualified against the current INEC chairman? And then on the issue of one political party system in Nigeria, what's your take about the country INEC chairman to be signed rather?
I was the first person who went to a meeting with him when you guys weren't paying attention. I told you this guy has nothing to offer. But contextually, you must understand that he was appointed by the president. And as long as the president appoints INEC chairman, even when they remove this one, they will bring another one. Everybody, almost all the people in the INEC national commissioners, they are all members of the APC. Most of the INEC state commissioners, resident commissioners, they are all APC people. So you remove one, they will just bring another person to replace him. Nigerians must brace up and defeat the current government through the ballots on the barricades. That's our position. But to expect some magic to happen, even when they bring another INEC chairman, who do you think it will be? It will be somebody recommended to Tinubu, probably, and he will go to the rubber stamp National Assembly. They will rubber stamp the person again. So sometimes this is what I say much ado about nothing. We must address our problems fundamentally rather than just cherry picking. You remove Amupit, another person will come and they will do the same. They've already, okay, what about the Supreme Court justices? 11 of them were appointed by Tinubu between 2023 and 2024. And you only need 7 justices of the Supreme Court to litigate on election matters. You should also ask for the removal of those ones. Otherwise, forget it. These guys have already done and dusted the election. They're just waiting for the date to announce the election results. But Nigerians can change that. And that is why we are very clear that you also cannot change the current realities on the ground by using people who are part of the old system to change the so-called old system. They are all birds of the same feather. But when you say that, people say, oh, let's just work to get them out. I'm not going to help you get out a set of thieves to be replaced by another set of armed robbers. That's not how these things work when you want fundamental change in your society. You look for fresh hands, fresh blood, people with ideas. And all of you can line up behind us. We have a political party, African Action Congress. Stop recycling people who destroyed your country. I posted something on my Facebook page yesterday. It came from a very little research. In 1985, the Nigerian Airways, just using that, had over 37 aircrafts. Emirates has 0 aircrafts. Qatar Airways has 0 aircrafts. Emirates actually had 2 aircrafts on lease. Nigeria was flying to London, flying to Dubai, South Africa, everywhere. They had regional hub. It was an international hub. Today, Nigeria Airways has 0 aircraft. Dubai has uncountable, about over 2,000. That's Emirates, over 2,000 aircraft. So have you made progress? But you want me to stand here and recommend the same people who destroyed Nigeria Airways to come back and take over power. You say, oh, it's opposition, just follow them. The guy who said to you, David Mark, that you don't deserve telephone when he was communication minister. The guy who said you don't deserve democracy during June 12th. Or the guys who were with Buhari who were killing you last week. Malami and the rest of them. El-Rufai. Even though I don't support the lawfare being waged against them, they are the ones you want us to go back to when you have alternatives. 93 million people registered to vote in this election. 93 million. Only 27% of that voted in last election. So you have 50 million people. Why can't you all pull together, go in a different direction, and retire all these people? Don't let us hear about them again. Retire all of them. Put new hands in government. Elect new governors. Elect new House of Rep members. It's every 4 years. Let a guy who can stand up and look in the eyes of the world and say, we are Nigerians and we are proud of who we are. Let them lead your country. Look at countries like Iran. They weren't even there when we were there, in the 60s, 70s. And they have become world power even by accident. But Nigeria can't even explain what happened on Christmas Day when America bombed Nigeria. Nobody knows where the bomb landed. We didn't see the fragments, nothing. They didn't know who he killed, whether it's a good human being. Everybody just kept quiet because we don't have leaders in this country. We need leaders. But you can't use all these people who destroyed your past to lead you to a prosperous future. So that is where we are, people. Thank you very much.